So one of the things you constantly hear about, like finding your why, but I heard you say something interesting about like you can have a business why and a personal why, and they're not necessarily the same thing. What are those whys for you, and how do you recommend people figure out those?
Yeah, I think they can be totally different. So my personal why is I want to build wealth for me and my future family. That's a big reason that I do this. And then my business why is helping other women do the same thing. And I think it's really important to have both, because very often we can take on our business as our own identity, and we're not our businesses, and you might be doing that for the rest of your life, but you also might not. And so having your personal why is really, really important, and it probably will lean in somehow to your business. It might not, which is also totally fine, but it probably will. And when the business is challenging you and becoming really hard, you go back to your personal why, and that keeps you going, keeps you pushing forward, and allows you to pivot. It allows you to not get stuck to having to do it this one way, which I think can cause a lot of issues in business, where you get really stuck in, this is the way I'm going to do it, this is the way it has to be, this is my why. There are lots of ways to get to that. So I think it's really important.
Yeah. And Paul Graham, the founder of Y Combinator, he says like keep your identity small, and I think that kind of applies to what you're saying, where at least keeping them separated out, where you have your why, but it doesn't all have to be towards that same mission, because then if something happens to that one, you're very like, what are you left with? Versus if you have kind of this like higher level personal strategic why that kind of covers the scope of your life, and then these individual whys for the little projects, you're kind of diversifying your identity a bit.
I love that. I love the idea of having your own personal values as well, and using that as like a lens in which you run things through. Like, does this feel aligned with me? Well, let me run it through my values. Is it helping me achieve my personal values? If not, it's a no. That's a really big thing for me. I turn down pretty much every speaking podcast, because for me, time is everything, and I want time on my calendar, right? And so I run these through my whys, and it helps me get to that yes or no answer. Whereas if it really aligns with one of my whys, one of my values, which is having impact, creating impact, then it might be a yes. And so have your own values, and so you can run everything through, and you can actually then create a business that helps you get happiness and helps you, build happiness in a way that aligns with your values. Because very often we can allow our business to run our lives and allow our business to dictate how our lifestyle looks. We're like, I want to create a business for freedom, and then we take on all of the things that actually are the opposite of freedom. All of these coaching clients, or all of these interviews, all of these meetings, and you're like, wait, I thought I was meant to be doing this for the freedom piece. I'm actually creating the opposite of that, and you don't know you're doing that unless you're really clear on your values.
So yeah, you can create the things that you say you don't want, and then just end up building that back into your life.
Totally. And you're like, oh, my business sucks. It's all the things I didn't want. Well, guess whose fault that is? Yours.
So how do you take your, I guess you have your high level strategic why, and then embedded in that is like your personal values. And then how does that trickle down into your daily habits? I know you were saying how you kind of turn down certain things if they don't fit into that, but do you have like daily habits, routines, and things like that kind of tie into that?
Yeah, so when I'm doing my kind of why and my values, I do a vision of how I want to feel, how I want my life to look, and I really, really think about that in like a daily basis. And I create my day around that. So a lot of that is space. I love having time on my calendar. I love having space. It's working with people that inspire me. So I think about what that looks like. I love quiet mornings. One of my values is learning, and so I spend time every morning reading. That's a really big part of my routine. And so it's thinking about how you can translate your why and your values into a vision that you can implement daily, whether or not you've achieved your goals, because your values should be the same whether or not you've achieved your goals. And you should, even if you're working, a 9-to-5 job and one of your values is to have freedom, okay, well, what are you doing daily that's creating freedom for yourself? Like, how are you, I don't like ever, I'll do this when. I think that's actually taking you off track. And so I'll do this now, how? Versus I'll have that when. I think about how you can create that in your daily routine.
Did you like what you just saw? Well, great, because our YouTube channel is chock full of tips on how to grow your online business and learn from the best in the industry. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss out. And if you're looking for the absolute best software for entrepreneurs at the lowest possible price, then you should absolutely head over to appsumo.com and subscribe to our email list. Heck, we'll even throw in 10% off your first order just to make it a no-brainer. Now, you're in on one of the best kept secrets in software.